And then I have to mute everything else because then I get a little feedback from everybody. And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to ScarifLive. I'm waiting for YouTube to catch up so I can mute. There you go. Now I can mute everything.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
It's true. How's it going, General Shinobi? What's happening, girl? Happy New Year. That's right. This is the first live of the year 2022. That is scary, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
2022. Happy New Year to everybody in the chat. You ready to talk Book of Boba Fett? How are you, my friend?
I have notes.
Oh my God, that is. I got some notes too, and
Surprised your head isn't exploding.
It was exploding yesterday when you announced it in the chat. I was totally flabbergasted. I'm like, no, wait a minute, that is crazy. But we're gonna talk a little bit about Boba Fett. But here at the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, we love Star Wars, don't we? Star Wars is awesome. We love everything Star Wars. Star Wars is great. Yeah. Thank you very much for stopping by. Bye-bye. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I always knew you were a robot.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We have a great show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the chat. We'll read off some names in a little bit and let people come on in. But speaking of having people come on in, I'm very happy to bring in two of the most wonderful people on the internet. We have Mr. Brad from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast.
Hey, Brad.
I feel so honored. I've never been brought in like that. It's like, who's he talking about? Surely it's not me. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, and don't call me Shirley. And again, just some wonderful people that are joining us tonight. We have Andrew from the Science Fictionary. Andrew, how's it going, brother?
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, I'm so happy to see you guys. We originally had Rob from Jedi Temple Archives programmed in the show tonight, but he had some unexpected work situation happen. And he won't be joining us. I'm sure he will watch us on the replay, but I am very, very excited to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. A little, I guess, I recoined Brad. I'm doing a lot of hashtags because, when we first started, we did these hashtag things and they worked out really well. So, besides ScarifLive hashtag, I coined this one, Boba Fett Refresh. So we're gonna dive into this, and this is gonna be a good show, but not before we show our little intro graphic. So take it away, intro graphic. All right, friends.
Can I recommend something? I mean,
recommend it.
Boba Fett Refresh is nice, but why don't we just shorten it up to Boba Fetish?
That would be the after show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's that Shanti show after.
After dark. Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
So,
Exactly. He's learning. All right, friends, a special Scarif Live tonight. We're doing a special live series called Boba Fett Refresh. There's a whole bunch of people in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. How freaky is that? Where are the flying cars, everybody? We were supposed to get flying cars by 1999? Yeah. So we're going to talk about the first chapter of the Book of Boba Fett. What was the name of the title? Stranger in a Strange Land. Yes, we're gonna dive deep. Our likes our dislikes. So I have a short disclaimer on my multi-page notes here. We will be filled with spoilers, so if you haven't seen the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, please put us in pause, go watch it, come back. We'll still be here, probably, because it's only, 33 minutes or whatever, but absolutely. So I just want to say welcome to our panel. Andrew and Brad. Brad, you were telling me before we went on the air that that very beautiful hat you're wearing. What's the story on that?
Yeah, so this is a Star Wars Force Awakens hat. A buddy of mine in the Navy gave it to me. He was on board another aircraft carrier, and when Episode 7 came out, or right before it came out, J.J. Abrams was flown out to the carrier and got to talk with all the folks there, all the sailors on board that carrier. And a couple of years ago, my friend said, "You know what? I got something for you. I think you can appreciate this more than I ever did." And he gave it to me. It was still in the box, and with it was a note from JJ himself. A thank you for your service from JJ, and he gave it to me. And I'm like, man, I don't normally tear up with gifts, but probably one of the best gifts I ever got. So yeah, it's actually the first time I've ever worn it. But yeah.
Very nice,
cool
very
stuff.
nice. Love that, love that. Great, great little gift. Great little remembrance of the movie. Really cool.
Yep.
I like swag.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't like swag, right? All right. So before we get knee deep in Sarlacc juice, I want to go around the table and do a quick one-word reaction to the first episode. If we can just kind of go around and see what you guys thought. And I know for the most part, we're going to really dive into it because we've got some opposing opinions and views here. But Chantel, I'm almost like chomping at the bit here. What are your? Give us a one-word reaction to the first chapter.
Ugh.
All right. Okay. That counts as a word. All right. Cool. My one-word reaction might go along the lines of ugh. Maybe not boring, but how about huh?
Okay,
Does that count?
sure.
All right. Sounds good. All right, Andrew.
Optimistic.
Optimistic. All right. And Brad.
Necessary.
Necessary. All right. I like that. I can see that. Excellent. All right. So we got our one-word reviews. What do you guys want to talk about first? Let's go to the top. And I know we all kind of have some notes, either mental or written down. But what you guys?
Moving his head.
I gotta.
Go. I wanna hear Brad.
Thank you,
He's
little
shaking
girl.
his head.
So I'm glad I got members of the team. I'm gonna say you guys are the dissenters on this one.
Really?
And, I want to hear the voices of the dissenters first because I think I'm gonna let you. This is how Last Jedi conversations go. I'm gonna let you guys say your piece, and then I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong on that. So I want to hear why you gave it an ugh. Or I'd love to hear that, and then I'll tell you why you're looking at it from the wrong angle.
And I said something earlier to somebody on Twitter. Really, a lot of my criticisms going forward are nitpicky for me. But I also said, even before this episode was dropped on Disney Plus, I said that I was going to go really hard on this because of the character, because of the notoriety of people didn't know what to expect from a Boba Fett show. So I'm gonna be very hard on the show. A lot of the criticisms that I have personally are production based, and there's some people that I've seen kind of post similar things that I'm gonna critique, that I'm gonna talk about. But yeah, so that being said, Shanti, let's start with you. Let's not get those. Let's not have those notes go to waste.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I never do homework.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I don't want to compare the two, so I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm not trying to compare the two. That's not what I did. I'm like you, Ro, I was looking at more from a production aspect. I haven't rewatched The Mandalorian in a long time.
Okay.
So I wanted to compare the two first episodes, the first season of The Mandalorian first episode, and then this first episode of Boba Fett. And I just felt like Boba Fett the production felt cheaper to me. I don't know why. It just looked fake. Some of the backgrounds were distracting, and I felt like I noticed it more when they were indoors than when they were outdoors. So like when people were talking, I was very distracted by the background. It's almost like I could tell like there was a green screen there, and I didn't like that. And then one of the other things about it is when I watched the first episode of the first season of The Mandalorian, by the time I got to the end of the episode, I was like, holy shit, I can't wait for the second episode. This is really amazing. It really captured my attention. By the end of the episode of Boba Fett, I was kind of like, I just want to get to the second episode just to see if it picks up at all. It's now not even like, oh, I'm so excited for the second episode. It's more of just, all right, I need a little bit more before I can just say this is so wonderful.
Right. And to me, it seemed like only half an episode.
Right. That's how I felt.
And it's probably one of the shortest of the Star Wars streaming shows. One of the shortest episodes. It started. I don't know. It's, let's get to pacing, because for me the pacing didn't work that well. But Andrew, I wanted to hear from you, and I heard your show yesterday. You and Marisha were talking about the show, and I did have some points that you said that I had agreed upon. But what was your take as far as the length of the show, the look of the show?
So I don't necessarily think the length is the overall problem. Don has said it in the chat over here. I think that it's just, if they're going to do these weekly releases, and this is across the board, this is the Marvel stuff. Marvel's doing it. Marvel has done this and it works. Release the first 2 episodes. Give people more meat up front to dig into.
I agree.
I think the more you give people on the front, the more likely you are to hook people. And I think that's how people are going to feel after the second episode comes out. But my only, after watching it a couple of times, after really kind of digging deep into what they're doing, my biggest problems with the episode, it was pacing. But I don't think it's the pacing. We're telling 2 stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't think it's the pacing of either story. It's the constant interrupting of each one. Like, I just kind of wish they would have told the Tusken Raider stuff up front. Like, do what we did, and then don't interrupt it to come to the modern point. Like, let's tell that story, because I actually find that stuff to be really interesting. I think that's going to be incredibly important to the future with Boba Fett and how he chooses to rule. And kind of this person he becomes, because this whole thing is building on the trope of rebirth. That's what we're doing. He has been reborn after his escape from the Sarlacc pit. So my biggest problem is this jumping back and forth. It's become too common of a trope.
Mm-hmm. I wrote this exact same thing down, that I said, please don't do another Mandalorian where we're doing flashbacks of his past along with what's going on in the present.
Right.
I don't want to do, and I don't have a problem with the length of time either, because the Mandalorian, the first episode of the first, was only a 1 minute longer.
Yeah.
So it really does have nothing to do with time if you can really give me a good story. And what is it about? I can't even get like a basic, basic principle of what it's about.
I'm going to tell you in a second.
Drop your knowledge on me, Brad. Go ahead.
I 100% love the story they're telling. I love both parts of the story. Like I said, my only gripe is the bouncing back and forth.
It's disjointed.
Before Brad says anything, I just want to say,
You're doing this on purpose to make me wait. I know that. Okay.
no, again, my criticism is mostly production. I'm obviously enjoying watching, new Star Wars on any screen, big screen or small screen. I enjoy Boba Fett as a character. I enjoy the actors, Fennec Shan, the characters, the new characters that we're learning about. I'm enjoying everything. It's for me, it's a little bit of the production that kind of throws me out of it. I wasn't too crazy with the pacing. Back and forth, the flashbacks are really long. I mean, in The Mandalorian, they were shorter and were actually flashbacks. This is like telling two scenes concurrently or two stories concurrently. And again, which, I don't have a problem. But if the episode were longer, I think it would have felt better to me.
Or add more episodes. There's only 7.
Right. All right. Brad is going to tell us now why we're all 100% wrong.
And then you're going to go back and rewatch it, and you're like, "Wow, Brad was right as usual." So this episode, and I'm gonna use, I don't use this word lightly. This episode was biblical in nature,
100%.
and I'm going to get back to that point. But I wondered when they introduced it, why is it called the Book of Boba Fett? And I think this is going to answer what you guys are talking about as why do they keep showing flashbacks, right? This is telling the entire story of Boba Fett. So I think what we're forgetting already, and Ro, I knew your expectations were going to be ultra high for this episode. So it probably wasn't going to meet your expectations no matter what happened. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But this is, when I said necessary at the top of the show, this is what we've been waiting to see since 1983. We saw Boba Fett go out like a chump. He was already the coolest character, right? I mean, we all saw Under the Helmet. We watched that documentary, right? He was the coolest character, and he went out like a chump. And we all hoped and prayed that he was still alive, that he made his way out of there, and we got to see it. And and it wasn't. We saw the pain that it took. And here's why I call it biblical, right? You call it the Book of Boba Fett. You could have literally put like the Book of Job on this one. He literally had everything thrown at him. He was in the Sarlacc, where he was being digested by acid, right? He got his way, and then he was windswept, with the sand, dragged through the desert by banthas, tied up and beaten by sand people, and then encountered a giant creature in the middle of the desert. And much like Leia did, I saw some parallels between Leia when she killed Jabba with her chains, right? The chains that also imprisoned him, right? He used those to kill that creature. And what I think this shows, and he killed the creature with his bare hands. And I think what we're seeing on this one is sometimes just surviving, right? And you see this in the military a lot. Sometimes just surviving makes you the biggest badass of all, right? He literally went through hell, and he made it through hell, and he lived to tell about it. And the reason why I think they showed it as that, right? He says the dreams are coming back. That's a very PTSD type thing, right? The dreams are coming back, right? He thought he outlived them, but you're swimming there in Bacta, and that's what you're going to think of. So I think if you don't like the flashbacks, you might be disappointed in this series, because I think it's going to build a lot on that. We're going to see a lot of what we missed for Boba. But I know we'll talk going forward, but I think what we'll see here is, he might be the biggest badass bounty hunter in the galaxy, but that does not make you a good crime lord. And I think we're going to see that while he's a good bounty hunter, he's not going to make a good crime lord. And so I think it's going to go in a completely different direction than what we all anticipate. So that's my 2 cents.
So are you saying that they should actually have named this the Book of Jonah Fett?
I mean,
then,
yeah,
maybe, yeah.
But I mean, there are a lot of biblical references. I mean, even the title is straight out of Exodus.
Yep.
And I would not have minded the flashbacks as they were if they were just if one of the stories was a little longer. It seemed like just when things were getting interesting, credits rolled, and I'm like, And again, everybody's criticism about they should have at least dropped two episodes at once. That would have been great. I know they want to stretch out the subscription year, and they only had 7 episodes, but that's why I really wasn't so like gung ho about this one. And Brad, you are absolutely right. At this point, my expectations for a Star War are like through the roof. Some of the things that I noticed that just looked, I described it in the past like a fan film with a decent budget. Mm-hmm. There was, the slow fight in the sand when he escapes the first time. It seems like they were in a warehouse somewhere.
So what you're saying though is that it looked like a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Well,
that actually shocked me. Actually,
I mean,
when I saw that at the end,
Robert Rodriguez's whole style is a little fringe and camp in a lot of ways.
I felt like I was walking through Galaxy's Edge. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was walking through a theme park. I don't know.
And and it's interesting because the Robert Rodriguez aspect of it, and especially in the episode that he directed for The Mandalorian, also to me looked like a Star Trek episode. They went out to the desert and they dressed some people in stormtrooper outfits and they did their thing. So when it comes to bringing in famous directors and bringing them in to do their thing with Star Wars, obviously we've seen that happen before. I don't think that it's a smart move to do that. Star Wars has a certain feel, a certain tapestry to it that makes it what it is. And if you start bringing in, I don't know, directors to change that, I think fundamentally it changes Star Wars to begin with. And I don't know.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I mean, number one, I think we should have Ryan Johnson directing everything. Two, I mean, I like different voices on it. Which episode of Mandalorian did he direct? Was it The Prisoner?
No, and I don't remember the title, but it was I think it was when Grogu was finally calling out to the Force, and then the stormtroopers came on the shuttles. I don't know the name of that title.
The one with the introduction of Boba. That
was it? Yeah.
So I think it's fitting then that he did this.
He directed The Tragedy, chapter 14.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think since he did that episode, I think it's fitting that he did this one. But as far as I agree with you. I thought we were going to get another episode on Friday. That would have been nice. Mm. But I mean, here we are talking about it, of course. But do you want to start all the way up here? And that's, do you want to, because if you start all the way up there, the only place you can go is down as far as the series goes. Wouldn't you rather have it as a roller coaster where you have some chance for ascension?
Well, and Filoni's involved here, and it's right. If Filoni's involved, it's going to be a slow build. It always is.
Right. That's why I think this season is going to. I think your optimistic, appraisal of the situation, as it were, I think is appropriate because I truly think this season is going to take some turns that we're not expecting at all. If you just left your expectations at the door for it, and I don't mean that in a smart ass kind of way. I think it's gonna take some turns that we're not expecting, which will be. That's
the thing. I went in with low expectations, and I'm still disappointed. So.
Yeah, the thing about expectations, and I will admit that for me the expectations were high because, like I said before the show even dropped, I said I'm going to go hard on the show because of what it is. Mm-hmm. We've seen The Mandalorian, we've seen 2 seasons of it. Ahsoka kicked ass in that show. This is no punches pulled. But this episode seemed a little, I'm going to dare to say, a little on the weak side. And maybe if it were longer and there were a little bit more explanation, there's a lot of stuff that was set up in this episode, which are great. I'm going to watch it next week. I'm going to watch the entire run. But it just seemed too short for me to not to like it, because I did like it. But I mean, I don't know. It's just there were so many things in this episode that just walked outside of what Star Wars is to me. Like not, and I'm talking about technically. The music was off. The visual effects were off.
I hated the music.
And I chatted with Sean over at another Star Wars podcast. We really talked about the scope of Star Wars, the wide shots, the world building shots. And there was one or two shots that were pretty cool, the Mos Espa flyover, but there's not enough of that stuff in this. And obviously it's the first 30 minutes of a 7-episode.
It's also a desert.
Yeah, but I mean, The Mandalorian had some really great shots that were also a desert. But I think I'm expecting more at this point. It's the second Star Wars show streaming, and for me, I'm expecting a lot more.
I mean, I think there's some really cool shots in this show. Just speaking technically, I mean, the Tuscans coming out of the desert is one of the coolest shots in the Mandalorian are in this show so far.
And they would have been better if it were accompanied by a John Williams song.
The thing is, that song they played when the Tuscans come out of the desert is incredible. It may be the best piece in the whole show.
I mean, the music was definitely off. I could see how you could have found that distracting. There was a couple. I thought there were definitely a couple pieces in there that were a little bit. Actually, no, there's a couple pieces I thought were really nice, and I thought when we talked about the biblical nature. I thought it really gave it that feel as far as the tragedy that he was going through. But I think if they had called this prologue, because it really felt like a prologue. So when Mandalorian ended, it ended with the present. So they had to bring us back up to date, to get us back up to the present. So I think if they just simply added prologue to the title. And then, as you said, gave us episode 1 the same week. I think we're having a different conversation here.
I feel like there's a misconception here. I'm not comparing it to Mando in terms of the story. I'm comparing it to Mando in terms of the production. So I just want to put that out there. That was exactly what I did not want to do. I do not want to compare these two stories. They're two totally different characters.
Right.
So
and
it's
that's why I put that. That's why I put that up there. And Gannon, also, the music is not done by the same composer as Mandalorian. The theme for the for Mando's
all
is
the
same one.
The themes, multiple. The character themes are all written by Goranson. Someone else is scoring it using his themes.
Right. So, there's a lot more organic chanting in this. The end credits were like really jarring because they were like Gregorian chants, and I guess I can kind of
it was a little silly.
It was a little off for me, but and you guys know, I mean, I've said this before. I mean, you cut me and I bleed Star Wars. Oh look, here's Star Wars. I mean, come on, guys.
So I mean, we talked about, and I'm not gonna argue some of the production points that you guys are talking about, but I would like to counter that with some of the costume design. I mean, are those not? I mean, I was blown away by the Tusken Raiders.
The Tuskens have never looked better.
Yeah, the
beautiful.
Tusken chief there. Oh my god! And even seeing the younglings, as it were, of the Tusken camp. I mean, I thought they looked beautiful.
Yeah, and so just so we're not like downing on the series, I mean, the costume design in the show is beautiful. I think we've never seen Sand People so gorgeous in my life. Elegant, intricate. They remind me of the character in Solo. The intricate beads and the bones. Enfys Nest, yeah. So they got kind of like that on there. But I'm loving the costume design. I do prefer Boba Fett's old costume in The Empire Strikes Back rather than the new getup. But I love his belt. But I also love like lots of pockets. You know what I mean?
Did you enjoy the Batman suit up? Did you find that to be a little?
I found it to be a little
waste of time. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
there's some things you just could have done without. There's only 7 episodes in this first season.
I don't care how Boba Fett gets dressed. Let's get to the story already.
Get do it. I don't know.
You know,
I don't know.
sticking on the Sand People though, you know, I think, you know, if you watch it, like there is good character development. You're talking about, and I'm speaking here of the youngling Tusken Raider along with Boba, and the character development of a creature that or of a being that doesn't even speak English. And you see how, you know, how he went from, you know, hating Boba and seeing him as nothing to, you know, basically a savior, and then what Boba did for him, getting him accepted, you know, into the tribe. And you're talking about character development with no English words being spoken. So, I mean, I think that says something there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was great. And Scott, yes. You know, I love them latex nipples.
You know, I did like the flashbacks, and I wish the whole episode would have just been dedicated to the flashbacks, because the small portion that they spent on the present is actually what bothered me the most.
Yeah, I was getting into the flashbacks with
Really
Tusken Raiders because, like Brad was saying, or you guys were saying, it does develop a certain character. It's like, why, you know, I think it's going to solidify Boba Fett's change. And I know, you know, we really didn't know Boba Fett before this, you know, only through canon stories, which, you know, are non-canon stories, I'm sorry, in the expanded universe. But, yeah, I guess let's go through a couple of sequences here. What'd you guys think of the Sarlacc escape? We finally see it happen. Thoughts?
Disappointed.
What did you want from it?
I don't know, man. Return of the Jedi came out in '83, and like you said,
that sequence reminded me of my college buddies doing it with shower curtains painted black. That's what it reminded me of.
You're inside the guts of a creature. What do you guys want?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know what else you wanted. Like, you want him flying out with, you know, blasters blazing like a superhero? I mean,
there's nothing wrong with Boba Fett being a superhero for half a second and then falling on the sand and saying, "Oh man, that was hard. I'm done." And then
it felt like they just wanted to brush past it. Like, okay, let's get over this and not delve into this too much. And I'm like, dude, he punked out, like you said, in 1983. I've been waiting for him to get out of the Sarlacc pit like this whole time. So yeah, I do wish they would have spent a little bit more time on it.
You didn't think his hand?
So how come no one else escapes? He's the only one. Why? What makes him so special?
I don't think it was too easy. It was just too. To me, it looked cheap.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it looked.
Wanted to just
see you guys, you guys.
Because that was the part I was looking forward to the most. Is how did he get out of here when this whole time you've made it seem like this thing is so horrific that you can't escape it? I don't know.
Did you not think his hand coming out of the sand was somewhat victorious?
And symbolic of a rebirth? That must have been quite a C-section.
But it is 100% rebirth. I mean, that's why he's in the white, you know, after the Jawas finished stripping him, it's the white jumpsuit, the skin is white. It is 100% rebirth. That's
I'm not saying it's not
the
a
story.
Rebirth. I'm just not looking at it from that point of view. I'm not looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. You know what I mean? To me, I'm looking at it, this is very action-packed. He's trying to get out of this monstrous creature, and to me, it just felt too easy. But I get the symbolism behind it, but that's not what I wanted to focus on in that scene. I wanted more struggle, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
logically, he took the best way out of there because, I mean, although we all want to see him come out with the jetpack, by the way, I'll give you, here's one of my negative points Rogue just left, I guess I know. Why didn't he use his jetpack when the guys had him surrounded in the middle of Tatooine? Right. So I'm going to criticize there.
I think this is what I wanted to see.
Well, yeah, we
this.
To see that, but how logical is to go back up out of its? Well, I mean, the Tremors thing was added later on, but you know how realistic would it be to come out that way? I think he took the most logical way out of the thing.
What realistic? It's Star Wars.
Well, that's
all right.
Fair.
You know what? I'll give you that because again. You know, I'm going in with my expectations, and I've had this toy for many, many years, and I've been looking at it for a long time. but it would have been cool. I mean, I would have accepted, one of these shots, a little special effects with the tentacles, and him struggling, and there still could have been a struggle, a birth, the white suit, the placenta, whatever the hell you want to call it. But all right, I'll give you that one.
But he should have used his jetpack later. And while we're on negative things, before I forget, how did Max Rebo live?
I saw that. I had the same reaction. I was like, really?
Because he blew up on the skiff. So
maybe he didn't. I don't know.
How did Max Rebo how did that fat elephant get off the skiff?
Band members have a way of exiting stage right, if you know what I mean. So I think it's
They had to go cut an
fine.
album.
So, getting back to there's a lot of setup in this episode, which I loved. I loved, the introduction of the mayor. Who is this mayor? The Parker ninjas, Jennifer Beals character. Mm-hmm. That's right. The swoop gangs, and obviously the relationship with the Tuscans. But what do you think about was there too much introduced in this? Like not even 30 minutes, because half of it was flashback, but was there too much introduced in this episode to set up the subsequent show? Like you've got the assassins, you got the swoop gang that is pillaging the village there. No,
I would say if they had spent lots of time on those things, but the fact that they just introduced concepts, I think is just fine.
And I mean I thought the tribute scene was priceless, and the major domo there for the mayor. I just thought that interaction was hilarious, and I'm not sure who the actor was.
It's David Pasquisi.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I mean he's mostly just a comedian.
He reminded me of Marty McFly's dad. At first, I thought it was Marty McFly's dad from Back to the Future. I mean, that's the way he acted. But I just thought that was hilarious. And
The one representing the mayor.
right,
Yeah.
You see, he took me out of that whole scene because I thought his
Really?
acting
Oh,
was
I
so
thought-
freaking awful.
oh, I thought it was hilarious.
I could
Yeah.
not take his voice. He sounded fake. I couldn't take it
Well, that was the
seriously.
He's being an asshole.
Yeah, he's being an asshole.
It didn't come across that way like at all.
Oh,
It just came off as like he's
I-
reading off the page.
I took it as they give Boba zero respect, and I think that's a theme that we're going to see throughout
Yeah.
I mean, you have to grab respect.
Again,
on
I get what's
Tatooine.
going on. I get the conversation
Yeah.
that's going on between the two. I'm saying his delivery as an actor, I just thought it sucked and it took me out of it. But I get what's going on between the two. I understand. They're totally slighting each other. I get that. But
I like when
don't
he
know.
right before he left, he says, "Don't be surprised if another delegation comes to visit you."
Who is this
Oh,
guy?
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Lunar Girl has a point. I think the assassin's boss is going to be, or the mayor, or the
Yeah, the
assassin's
mayor.
boss is going to be somebody we already know. I think that would be.
kind of felt they're one and the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely know the mayor. I'm just waiting to see who it is.
I think so.
Darth Maul. Who said that?
That would excite me. Very
I didn't think Mos Espo was the kind of place to have a mayor, but
I did like when Boba blew up one of those assassins. That
Oh
was my
yeah,
favorite
that was.
part. I was like, okay, well, at least they're not.
I'm
gonna
surprised
be afraid
Disney
to
let
go
that
there. I
happen.
was like, okay, good. Well, that's a positive.
Oh,
'Cause I was
Disney
worried
lets
about that.
Disney lets John Favreau blow up whatever he wants.
Good.
they're just gonna say he teleported at the last minute and he didn't actually die. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. So
There's there's dislike of the parkour through the spaceport.
yeah. Somebody said that. What is that, Don? One of the
Parkour
escape pod.
ninjas.
Yeah. I had to look up parkour because I didn't know what that was. But speaking of which, the rooftop chase was really great. Talking about my need to see scope and wide shots and production value. I think that chase between the ninjas and Fennec Shan was absolutely wonderful. I loved it.
Yeah. I do like her, and I am very interested in seeing that relationship, Fennec and Boba together. That is what I'm actually looking forward to.
Oh, Scott's got a good point here. What if?
What?
What if Hondo Onaka
You would
is the
think
mayor?
that would be impossible, but if anybody could pull off becoming mayor on
Yes.
Tatooine, it would be Hondo.
That would be awesome. Yeah, and getting
I
back
think
to
it's
the
Admiral
Flash.
Holdo. I think Admiral Holdo.
Admiral Holdo.
At this point.
Great.
I will say this. I did enjoy it a little bit more watching it the second time around than I did the first time around.
I said that same thing about The Last Jedi when I saw it the second time, but
No, you
I don't know.
didn't.
I did. I actually did. But then I came to my senses.
And then
Yeah, I
the
was
third
gonna say,
time
were
you
you
said,
knocked
nope,
over the head?
Nope.
What about the nice little tribute to Ray Harryhausen with the creature in the sand?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun to see. I mean, yeah, that was straight Clash of the Titans. But I think it was fun to see, a new creature. You have a whole galaxy to work with, and it's not a crate dragon. It's not the same. It's not a Dianoga. It's not the same 5 creatures we see all the time. I thought it was nice to see something new for once.
Andrew, you said something about this creature in your stream last night, that it didn't really look Star Wars-y.
No, I mean I watched the show twice. The first time I watched it, I was just like, where did this creature come from? Like it it's largely because it doesn't look like anything that we've seen in Star Wars before. Mm-hmm. But that's perfectly fine. Like, we've gotten real used to them diving into old concept art to pull these creatures out, but They can't do that forever. Like, if we want new content, they're going to have to develop new creatures. And so after I kind of had time to think about it in the second watch, I liked it a lot better. I love I would love to hear them talk about where they came up with the concept for that creature, because it does look like something that Ray Harryhausen would have done, but it's also almost exactly ripped from the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' Barsoom series, as the Green Martians. I mean, it looks just like it. Mm-hmm. And in those books, the Barsoom series has been a long time drawing point for Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
I think now that we're talking about all these references, I think a lot of foreshadowing for this was done in that documentary, Under the Helmet, where especially Dave Filoni talks about how all of George Lucas's loves, you can see in the movie, his love of,
Japanese,
Japanese, the samurai movies, the Westerns, and how you're going to see all those references. I think they alluded to a lot of that in that documentary. I think we saw it in this first episode.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking with Steven, our author friend Steven, about the character of Boba Fett, and people really have it in their head that he is just a ruthless, money-grubbing bounty hunter. But I think people are oversimplifying him. And I'm wondering what his end goal is. You guys talked about a rebirth, kind of a rebirth of the character. What is his end goal here? I don't really think it is actually becoming a crime boss. Do you?
I don't buy that.
I think as much as anything, perhaps not to do the bidding of other people for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He wanted to be the man.
Do you think some of folks' issues is because we see that he definitely has a set of values, right? Where he says in this one, I don't torture, right? And he hires the Gamorreans instead of killing them and making an example of them. Do you think some issue or some folks might take issue with the fact that they saw him aligned a little bit differently because they had so much headcanon, right? Again, we only, as the documentary said, we only had 6 minutes and 20 seconds of screen time. They had so much headcanon of Boba Fett that they figured he was aligned more evil than what he is. Is this changing people's perspective of Boba? Maybe they don't like that, or do you think that's not going to be an issue?
I guess I was expecting something a little bit more aggressive, and maybe that was also a little bit of a disappointment for me.
I mean,
but
I think
depending on where they're taking it, I'll accept it.
And, I was never a believer that Boba Fett was this, hard-ass, ruthless, no mercy kind of character. And I said it, I think I've said it before somewhere. During The Empire Strikes Back, when he captures Han Solo and instructs the Bespin guards to put him in the hold, he says, put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. There's like a certain, even that just one line, there's a certain respect he has for Han Solo. So there is kind of a, I don't want to say a camaraderie, but there is a respect that he has for this, I guess, almost a colleague of his that he was able to capture for Jabba the Hutt. And obviously he was a bounty hunter at the time, and he, I don't know, and someone that has not really followed a lot of EU like you, Brad, and Andrew. I wasn't too familiar with Boba Fett, the character, after Return of the Jedi, other than the Marvel comics after he escaped the Sarlacc in that comic run. But I was more of the belief that he does have some sort of code. Otherwise, I mean, there would be a lot more people after him for some reason. I just believe that he does have a code, rule with respect, but I just don't feel that his end goal is ruling anything.
It's not, and as far as how he was portrayed in the EU, a lot of times it really depended on the writer. But in general, he was a lot darker than what we see right now, and a lot more ruthless, as you said. But I think like later on, they made him have more of a set of values. But I really like this portrayal, and he says, like he says to Fennec, I'm the crime lord. Like, who says that? No one refers to themselves as the crime lord.
Crime lord.
So honestly, I do not think that role is going to last for long. If it's going to be a very Frank Sinatra, I did it my way type thing. If he does succeed at that, but at the rate he's going, I don't see that role lasting very long.
Andrew, what do you think?
I mean, I just, I don't know where they're going with the story. I don't know if this is he becomes successful at ruling over, his vassals. I mean, I love the fact that they've kind of set this up, the whole feudal system they've established. But, I don't know what his goal is. I think Boba I think he's always been a man with a code. I don't think you live long in that world without a code.
Right.
I love that there's more depth to the character than just he's not just a ruthless assassin. He was a man doing a job. So I don't know where they're going with it. I'm excited to see where they're headed with it. If it is more complex than him just taking over the remnants of Jabba's empire, that's great. Like, I think you can tell a good story either way. But I love the character. I think the character's always been, has been a really interesting character. I think one of the things that gets his attention, when you talk about the relationship between Vader and Boba Fett, and it's this, I don't think there's camaraderie there at all. They kind of, almost snap at each other a couple of times with the, he's no use to me dead, and Vader has to step aside and say, hey, no disintegrations. There's a mutual respect between Fett and Vader. They understand who each other are. And I think, and knowing who Vader is, who Anakin is, I think in my head canon, what I've always thought is that what he largely respects about Boba is that Boba's not afraid of him.
Yeah, I can see that totally. This I think we're going to find out that this entire series is, like you guys said, it's going to end up being a character study on Boba Fett. Brad, you said it. The reason they picked this biblical title here is because of that. We're going to get to see, what his code is. Maybe we're going to get to see what his end results are, and I'm really wondering too, towards the end, how this small story here fits in the larger scheme of things. Once the series is done, and once Mando season 3 gets released, will we see some sort of crossover? Will we see some sort of influence? Those are all things that I'm looking forward to.
How many episodes do we have in the season?
7.
7. they got a long way to go for. I can see what you guys are saying. They have a long way to go for only having 7 episodes here.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
That's why I say pick up the pace just a little bit.
I could have not,
Yeah.
we could have lost the Batman getting dressed up and, and all that stuff, but I don't know. It is what it is.
Are you guys not optimistic for the rest of the season?
I am. No, I am. I'm not that. Yeah.
Brad, you know I'm always optimistic
I'm not
for any
that
Star
negative.
Wars, except for one in particular. But yeah.
I mean, tie-ins. Do we have any predictions for tie-ins? I mean, I don't think we need more predictions or any more tie-ins to the cloning process or anything. I think they did enough of that with the Mandalorian.
Right.
Are we looking at the Republic, the founding of the Republic? Anything like that?
That is interesting because, we did spend a lot of time on the Mandalorian show trying to figure out the whole cloning thing, and we see some pickled Snokes in a jar. So, are we going to see more of that or what's going to happen? But, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Cad Bane's name was just mentioned in the chat. I think everybody would love to see Cad Bane. I mean, that's something that's been, talked about and ever since Clone Wars. And I think we would love to see that, and we would love to see, right there in the middle, want to go full Western, good, bad, and the ugly, right in the middle of Mos Espa, Boba Fett and Cad Bane going at it. I think that makes it worth it right there.
Yeah. No, I think there's any number of bounty hunters that could show up here, as well as any number of people from, especially the expanded universe era, from the Underworld, the criminal Underworld.
That's Kira's. Yeah,
that's the other one I keep hearing. Kira.
Yeah. So Dash Rendar is going to show up, right?
Look, why do you hate my Dash?
No, I like Dash Rendar. I'm a Dash Rendar fan.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm a Dash apologist all day.
I mean, you've even got a big name actor out there, begging to play the roles in Zachary Levi. So
there you go.
There's a ton of people, but I do think that this is a more personal story for Boba Fett. I think that's the reason for the title. I think that The Mandalorian is telling, at some point, I won't be surprised if we tell the story of The Mandalorian without Din Djarin even being involved. I think that the grand scope, I think that Filoni's grand vision for that is the reestablishment of Mandalore.
That's interesting.
Because I think we're telling two side-by-side stories, and Filoni's heavily involved in both the reestablishment of the Jedi and the reestablishment of the Mandalorians.
So they're parallel.
And I think this is a smaller personal story.
Yeah, and I posted something earlier about the flashbacks in The Mandalorian. They kind of dropped that after the second episode or the second season, where the Death Watch rescues him from the droids. And I actually wanted to see more of that. Maybe we'll get back to it because I have a feeling that Din Djarin as a little kid, he was somebody important. And again, that could be another show, but I think the Death Watch fed him the lie of not taking off your helmet, and the reason for that is because somebody important might recognize you because you are somebody important. But that's another show. Again, I'm looking forward to more, criminal underworld in the Star Wars universe, and that's one of my biggest reasons for really, really, wanting Andor to show up sooner rather than later. I think what we got a taste of in Rogue One, for me, was spectacular as far as the duality of the rebellion. And how the Empire works hand in hand with the criminal underground to kind of establish, order in the galaxy. And it's not just the Empire. I think we saw in Solo that they were kind of working hand in hand. So anything that has to do with the criminal underground in the Star Wars universe, again, Mandalorian is going to definitely touch on that, and I think I'm all there for it. I'm looking forward to next week's episode.
Yeah, and there was a I'm not sure if any of you guys got a chance to read it. There was a comic book series that came out last year, the Bounty Hunter Wars. So where a lot of these guys went at it. So I'm not sure what of course that's that's canon as well. I'm not sure if there's going to be any integration. I'm not sure what the outcome of. I never got a chance to read it. What the outcome of that was, but I think Andrew's right. I think there's going to be a lot of those, not just low level assassins, but some. He talks about working for the Trandoshans at one point. Bosk is still out there. There's going to be some well known. Some folks even wanted to see Dengar's diaper head back. And we might see some high-level bounty hunters taking some pot shots at Boba, trying to get the throne, as it were.
That reference when the Trandoshan came in with the Wookiee pelt, he told Fennec Shan, I used to work for him. I wanted to go back to, was it an earlier season of either Rebels or the Clone Wars where Boba Fett was a kid? Didn't he hook up with some bounty hunters as a child, and wasn't a Trandoshan one of them? So I thought again, I'd have to look it up, but I thought there was a connection there that Filoni was kind of bringing into the mix here.
Yeah, and I mean, Aura Singh was there, of course, and so she's got connections through the Solo movie. But were you guys not? We talk about the negative, and many of your points I'm not even going to argue, but that first couple minutes where we went back to Camino.
Oh yes, I love that.
Too was that not? I mean, I thought that was perfect.
That was great. Yeah, again, his visions, and I read somewhere that shot over the shoulder of young Boba looking at the helmet was a brand new shot.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I loved all that stuff. For nostalgic reasons, obviously, but it ties everything together, which is fantastic. Give me more fan service, Dave Richards. Fan service is always good. I love it. It's got to make sense though.
Filoni is the master at it, but he does it in a classy way.
Sure,
it's not just in your face. It's
right. And there is the one thing that gives me optimism, Brad, if you will, is the fact that Filoni is involved, obviously, in telling this story, and we're going to be getting some more nuggets and tidbits. We started dropping some nuggets and making sure that nobody spoiled it for people that didn't see the episode, but there wasn't really a lot of holy crap moments to actually spoil in this episode. So I'm hoping that we get some really good nuggets this next episode.
And just whatever exercise program the Gamorreans have been on over these years, it has really paid dividends.
Yeah, Andrew said they all skipped leg day.
Yeah, well, they did skip leg day, but they really trimmed out.
I like the chunky Gamorreans.
Oh, me too.
They looked terrible in this episode.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah,
it was awful.
I understand what they went for. I mean, obviously, if you want to have these guys moving around and fighting, they can't look like the Return of the Jedi Gamorreans. They still look a little silly.
They look silly.
Throw in a few of them in the background, though.
It's kind of
the chunky ones.
1980s Incredible Hulk sort of looking green paint.
Yeah. Yeah. Chantel, your notes. Anything else in your notes?
I actually had the same thought that you just said too. Like there was just no holy shit moment in the episode.
Yeah,
and I just had a problem with. I don't know.
I mean,
I guess I don't know what I was expecting, and that's the part. I'm having a hard time articulating what I was expecting versus what I got.
But this is always the danger.
And that's not to say I had high expectations. I guess, look, I don't do any reading, and maybe that's my problem. I've never picked up a single, comic or Star Wars book. You know what I mean? I'm only going off of the movies,
right.
And that's really about it. So for me, I needed something a little bit more to really care about this character. And like I said, for this only being 7 episodes long, I think you should have come out of the gate just a little stronger. That's it. And
Like
I know
up here,
everyone
Brad. Like maybe,
everyone
maybe
keeps
up here.
saying, "Oh, you can't
Maybe.
shoot your wad in the first episode." I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, it's
if
after
you-
10 o'clock here. You can say that now.
I know, Scarif. But again, if you take the credits into consideration, it's not a 38-minute episode. It's less than that. So
Sure.
again, what did you really give me in this episode?
Vulnerability. That's what they gave you. He's vulnerable.
What did he do? I don't.
Well,
And again, I look. I still like it more than the animated stuff. I still have not been able to go back to Clone Wars. I did
I'll take them
not
with the holiday special.
did not enjoy Bad Batch at all. I stopped after 3 episodes. So that's another problem. That's the other reason why I was disappointed. I have literally have been waiting for something like this since season 2 ended of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I think
Again,
that's why.
I still think that kind of the division you see in people that are less than sold on it and people that love it is the fact that I think you're going to experience this a lot. Every time Star Wars comes back, takes a character with decades of headcanon, some people are going to be disappointed in the story. I think that's always going to be the danger. If you went and decided to do a Luke Skywalker series right now, people are going to be disappointed in it. I mean, I don't even have to know what the story would be about to know that people are going to be disappointed in it.
sure. Yeah. But again, you know, I came in with higher expectations because not because of my knowledge of Boba Fett the character and the expanded universe, because I really, you know, like I said earlier, I really didn't touch the expanded universe as much as a lot of other people. I came in it with high hopes because it's a Star Wars, and there's a certain benchmark in my head for anything with that label on it. And unfortunately, this first 30 minutes really didn't live up to it.
I think
For me.
Yeah, I think, you know, given the title of the show, you know, I think this might be one of those, you know, let's watch the entire series
Sure.
and then see if it, you know, if it's just one piece, you know, in the bigger puzzle, and maybe it you know, it'll have to be one of those in retrospect. It definitely has a place in the bigger story.
I just don't want it to be a mini Mandalorian either. Like, I already have a problem that it's chapters just like the Mandalorian. The music was trying to sound somewhat similar to the Mandalorian, but I still thought it sucked. I just don't want it to be that. I don't.
Yeah, and I think after the last episode, I don't think it will be that. I think
I hope not.
you know, obviously, you know, the character is a different character. I'm looking forward to seeing what, you know, at the end of everything, you know, what we'll be here talking about, you know, when we get to the end, you know.
Yeah. By the way, I do love the actor. I love him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I think he does a great job.
If Boba Fett shoots more rockets out of her wrist and blows up more ninjas, I'll be happy.
And doesn't forget he's got a jetpack on his back.
Yeah. And again, not to say that all I want is pew pew action
No.
running. No. I love Dave Filoni for how he tells stories. I loved the Clone Wars. I love that slow build, but just something was off about this. And I explained my reasons, but you know, looking forward to chapter 2. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not writing off the whole series. Absolutely not. I'm going to watch the whole thing.
Anything else?
In Filoni and Favreau, we trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew, anything else?
No, I mean, I'm still, you know, I have a lot of high hopes still, you know, even after the first episode. There are things that could have been better.
I'm just glad we're all still friends.
But no, it's I'm not going to write it off because, you know, like I said, my primary issue is a pacing issue. I understand the complaints about some of the production things. And I understand why you come at it from that direction. And I'm always a story first person. I will watch a really terribly visual movie or show if it gives me the story I want. If it gives me good a good meaty story. And so far, I think the story's there, and I think that the other things will catch up to it.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because if they spent the entire episode with the Tusken Raiders, I think I would be a little better with it, because there was a story there. It's just it just felt so truncated for me.
Yeah.
It just stopped like right at a good point. So
Maybe it's just showing you what happens when you're in, laying it back to.
The only thing I did like about the two different stories was because of everything that was happening with the Tusken. It totally explained his whole wanting to rule with respect versus fear, and just seeing how what he did for them by killing this creature, and then he's offering him water at the end of the episode. And then, him having said that, I was like, okay, well, maybe that's obviously where he got that from. It doesn't have to be the way that Jabba did it. So that part I did appreciate. But I also didn't like the way it ended. It was so...
It does feel abrupt.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when I watched it again, I love where it ended, and I don't know why it feels so abrupt.
I think because we're used to longer episodes of Star Wars, and this really seemed like an old Western TV show on television. It really seemed like that, and I know that's the basis of doing all this. Mando and the Western, Sergio Leone, whatever. But I think it really felt that because of the length and
Coming around.
It's funny. I almost expected when the Tusken Raider handed Boba Fett the little seedling of water, and then the credits rolled. I almost, you guys remember how Naked Gun ended? It's like the credits rolled and they're like that's what I almost expected Boba Fett to like freeze in frame, and then the credits start to roll over him.
How
It's one of the biggest jumps we've made on this show.
But I do love that last scene, though. The kid comes running back into the village, and he's straight up telling about how he killed the creature.
Yeah.
I wish I knew what they were
And
saying.
the chief's just like, totally not buying it.
Right. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Still gets the cred.
Every time I hear Tusken Raiders, it sounds like a football team. No? Am I the only one? Star Wars football team? No, okay. Never mind. Sorry,
football
Brad.
have you
in a
watched?
row.
Foot what? Foot what?
Sorry, I forgot who I was talking to.
The sports ball.
My bad.
Sports ball thing.
Kelly
Cool.
will appreciate that.
All right, so just want to thank everybody that was in the chat having their conversation, adding to the mix of our stream today. Love our chat. Love you guys. I don't know what else is going on with you guys. Andrew, Science Fictionary and Coruscant Radio Underground.
Marisha has talked me off of the ledge on Coruscant Radio Underground.
I'm so glad.
Well, we got off to a bad start last year. My grandfather passed early in the year, and I just kind of got off track and never got back on.
Totally get it.
And so I've got a really, really big show. I think I talked to you about coming on for it, that we're kind of planning, based on rebuilding the Jedi Order. And so we've got that coming up soon. We're going to do a lot of new stuff with Coruscant Radio Underground and hopefully go back to a weekly show. And Science Fictionary, we're fixing to ramp that back up. We kind of slowed down towards the end of the year, but we're fixing to ramp that one back up as well.
Very nice. Very nice. I caught your discussion with... Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. This is dumb. I'm like, hey, I caught your discussion with David and what are you guys talking about Hawkeye? I'm like, wait a minute, I was on that show. No wonder I caught the discussion.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, right?
This is where I parked my car.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, you guys are putting them out there. Thank you so much. And Shanti, you are not only the co-host of the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, but you're over there with Alan at the Press Play Studios. What are you guys going on?
Well, first
you guys were on a little hiatus, right?
Yeah, we were on a hiatus basically all of November because there really wasn't much to do in November in terms of movies and stuff. But we did have a nice December with all of our Christmas stuff. We did switch to a bi-weekly format, so we're only going to be on every other week. So we won't be on this week, but I believe next week I think we're going to be starting like cult classics and things like that. So that'll be a lot of fun. And also, just really quick, I know it was already all over Twitter, but I just want to say again, happy anniversary to Andrew and Marisha.
Oh yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely. Did Alan start releasing his special series that he
No, I
started
think his
doing?
goal for that is February because I think
Okay.
he's still doing his
Recording?
interviews. And
Cool.
I'm just waiting for Andy to feel better so her, myself, and Andrew can finally record Pirates.
Oh, that's right.
I've got pages and pages and pages
I know,
of notes.
I'm so sorry. I have to see how she's
be
doing.
doing- we'll be
And then
doing that
Frank and I
soon.
are hopefully going to be recording an episode on the Twilight Zone because I absolutely love the Twilight Zone.
The old one or the new one?
The old one, the old one, the old one,
Okay.
the old one.
Had me worried there for a second.
No, no.
And Mr. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm just here.
What's up, Brad?
Just happy to be back on with you guys. It's always
Yeah,
a
it's good
pleasure.
to see you, buddy.
So,
All the anytime, man. Anytime. I
so
know.
this year is going to be give everybody a spoiler alert. This year is going to be crazy for me, just based off my work schedule. But I will be on the podcast any and every opportunity that I get throughout the year. So I will jump in the conversation whenever I can.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this is going to be a weird week for me. I am going to be traveling, but this Thursday. So last year I recorded a series of conversations with some friends, and I'm starting to put them together. The first one drops on Thursday. I spoke with Marisha about representation. And I recorded this last year, maybe a year and a half ago. Things were a little hot under the collar for everybody, so I kind of put them on the back burner. But, it's something that that I think about from time to time. But I talked to Marisha about representation, and this Thursday I'm dropping that episode. It's one of 3. Because as Star Wars fans, we like trilogies, right? So it's one of the first of the trilogy of a 3 episode series that drops on Thursday. I also talked with Yoshi Vu about the subject. We'll do that the following week. And last but not least, most recent member of the Red 5 team, Amanda Jedi Caligula. I talked to her about representation, and that will be released the following Thursday after that second one with Yoshi. So those are coming out. I'm also traveling. Charles and Amanda are meeting me in St. Petersburg in Florida. We're going to do some Comic-Con coverage at the St. Pete Comic-Con. So throughout the weekend and early next week, we'll be dropping some nuggets. We're going to be interviewing some people and checking out what Florida has to offer us nerds.
What's with you and nuggets today? Are you hungry?
I think I am.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Well, at least he didn't say hilarious. So.
Oh, that's right. Not
proud of
even
you.
once. Not even once.
No, I'm proud of you.
Let your mom know.
I will.
Awesome. And again, guys in the chat, thank you so much. And Lunar Girl for moderating for us. If you notice, she's got a cool little blue wrench on there, whatever that means, right?
Oh, can I give a random shout out?
Random shout out. Let's go.
To Shanty's mom, which is
yeah.
wow,
God, yes.
that's a weird shout out to give for anybody that doesn't have the
No.
context. But Ro was kind enough to let me hear the voicemail that she left the show, and I want to thank her and Chantel. Thank you as well. That meant a lot. Podcasting is not easy. Anybody who hasn't,
That's why she doesn't want to come on.
And people, it's just getting in front of a camera and you talk, but then you have these questions in your head: is anybody watching? Is anybody listening? Why the hell are we doing this? And I see that we have a few people in the chat, and if you can just get a couple people listening, and if it brings anybody out of a dark time in their life, then that makes it worth it. So, Chantel, to hear the impact that we were able to have and to bring you into the family like that, it was amazing. So,
You have no idea how grateful My parents are truly, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So thank
And
you.
she told me she went over. She actually, I actually knew what she had said before she left the voicemail because she wrote it down like a script and went over it a couple of times. She was very nervous, by the way,
Yeah.
leaving that voicemail. But yeah, when she told me what it was, I was like, oh, I was like, no wonder you made Ro cry.
Yeah,
Jeez,
and
Ma.
we slipped it in. Which episode was
The
that?
Tim Burton one.
The Tim Burton
And the one
episode.
that finally happened.
Yeah. So
Makes it worse.
But yeah, absolutely. I listened to that and I was very touched. I
loves you guys.
let Brad check it out as well,
Yeah.
because obviously it was a direct message to him. And, but yeah, we're happy to have you, Shanti.
Thank you.
And
Very
anytime
grateful to have met you. All of you.
Isn't that weird?
Why?
I always tell Brad about being careful with internet friends, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greatest friends hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
Right.
You love me for all my weirdness.
Exactly. We love you because of all your weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. If you guys are checking this out on the replay, thank you very much for finding us on YouTube. We are wherever you find your other favorite podcast on any podcatcher. Just search Scarif Podcast. And I'm going to say it, although I know Shinobi's going to laugh. Leave us a voicemail if you if you want to chime in and talk about Book of Boba Fett or anything geeky that we like to talk about. The phone number is 773-234-8659. Leave us a voicemail or email us at scarifscuttlebutt@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what is on your mind. And then send us some quick cut topic ideas. We'd love to kind of chat about that as well with friends on subsequent shows. Any final thoughts before I hit that outro music?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And that's the Scuttlebutt. Love you guys.